Top of the virus to you, laddie. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Mike.
That's probably racist, but I'm
Is
not
it?
sure. No,
But it's
I
St.
don't. The
Patrick's
Irish,
Day.
you can't be. Look, I'm Irish, right? You can't. We're impervious to like insults and psychotherapy. It's like whatever, Put the leprechaun on the logo, whatever. We got other stuff to worry about. Top of the morning, Lucky Charms, ha ha ha, whatever. But the unfortunate thing is, like, we didn't get really to celebrate today,
Right.
unless you're home drinking witch hazel, that kind of thing. But but yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day, and it's a very strange time in our country, obviously.
Do you think
And
Joe
so we
Biden,
got
Mike, do you think Joe Biden finds St. Patrick's Day racist to corn pops?
you mean the cereal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's teamed up now with Captain Crunch, so that's who he thinks Captain Crunch works in the DOD. He doesn't know
Right.
what's going on, that guy. But so we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Later on, when we go to the Patreon portion, we're going to talk about cash. I know cash is tight, and I picked the brains of former IRS guys I know. Killers of finance. Remember, Trump used to say, "I know killers in finance." I know a couple killers in finance from my city days, and entrepreneurs. And I helped put together. We all helped formulate a like guerrilla hacks to put more money in your pocket when you really don't have to do much else. It's like this isn't stuff you're going to find on Dr. Phil or what's her name with the cookbook. What's her name?
Martha Stewart. For some reason, you've
Martha
frozen
Stewart.
here, Mike. Okay, you're back. There we go.
Yeah. Martha Stewart didn't even learn this stuff in federal prison. This is even better than the stuff she learned in federal prison. So,
I think she learned how to bake a bunt cake in a toilet in federal prison.
Yeah. Toilet wine is always big, and recipe is always one that moves from cell to cell. Take it from me. But so there's some real slick intel and stuff that probably you shouldn't know. It's nothing. None of it's illegal. Everybody, calm down. Everybody's ready to email YouTube or whoever saying, "We got them. We got this Irish Mick. We got him on St. Patrick's Day." Calm down. This is all legal, and it's just stuff that's way outside the box. And it makes total sense when you hear it. And we're going to get into that later because a lot of people I talk to are worried about cash right now, and who can blame them? It's a little bit crazy. Wall Street's getting a bailout, but we haven't gotten any bailout. Everybody's getting a freaking bailout.
Only people who already have a ton of money seem to be getting a bailout. If you are,
what is going on here? Everybody gets bailed out. Remember, all the way from Cash for Clunkers, this criminal scheme, and then there was this package and that package, $800 billion. TARP. Billions of dollars.
Where are they getting that from, Mike? 850 billion. There's no way they have 850 billion, right?
Well, I mean, maybe they're getting it from Iran.
I think they just print it up.
A portion of it. They just print it, right? It's like if the Fed can't print money on a daily basis, ridiculous amounts of money. They put 1.7 trillion into the stock market last week, and the stock market just laughed at them. The Fed, they're like, whatever, let's get out of here. 1.7 trillion. We're going to tank, and whether you like it or not. See, the street, they had this special press conference. Trump had it on Sunday, and the Fed announced all these rate cuts, and they were going to buy mortgage-backed securities and things like that.
But wait. Isn't that the exact same thing that created the problem in 2008? Mortgage-backed securities, collateralized debt?
Well, it's different now because that's what created the crisis in 2008. It was bad financials. Okay. So now there's nothing really wrong with the market financially, right? It's not a financial crisis that bad practices created. This is a virus. And I would say the government is responsible at this point, along with the media, for tanking the market. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And pumping trillions of dollars into it doesn't mean anything, especially Sunday. I said Sunday, everybody's like, oh, cool. Sunday, when Trump came out and said the Fed was making all these changes and pumping all this money in the market, another 700 trillion into the market, I said, not 700 trillion. I'm sorry. 700 billion. Okay, on Sunday, and that preceded by 1 trillion they put in a week earlier, or a couple days earlier. Actually, I think it was Thursday, preceding last Thursday. So the street and everybody was saying, "Oh, this is going to go pretty good. The stock market is going to take off." This is yesterday, and I said, "No way. This is no way," because Wall Street doesn't like. And I don't forget, I worked at Citigroup a long time. Wall Street doesn't like when things out of the ordinary happen, like a Sunday press conference. That comes off as desperate. And what happened yesterday? The market crashed 3,000 points. I mean, that's significant. Now, it was up a little bit today. It shaved off about half of that loss. But where's it going to be tomorrow? So my point, and I've been saying all last week, is that's great, okay, but not everybody in America is invested in the stock market. So you hear stock market's up, stock market's up, stock market's up. Middle class, lower middle class, and poor folks don't have stocks. So, and guess what? They don't have any money either. They don't have money to go buy extra food. They don't. I heard some bird brain on Tucker Carlson last night, former FEMA director. This guy was a cement head. Okay. He was saying FEMA needs to re-educate middle class and poor people on how to spend money better so that they can have 3 to 6 months reserves.
What? Some people don't even have a big enough house to store that.
No. Yeah, but he's saying money in the bank for 3 or 6 months to live. And I'm thinking,
please.
I grew up my whole life in a single family home with my mom working, right? 3 to 6 months. We're lucky if we had 3 to 6 days. Where are these people coming from?
I think most people, Mike, are paying down the credit card bill every month. If you can chop a significant portion of the credit card bill off, they're feeling pretty good.
If you're paying it at all, and Tucker was like, ooh, yeah. We haven't heard this stuff. It makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make any sense to the people who don't have any money. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's stupid. It's a lack of understanding life in the trenches in the United States on Main Street. Right? These guys are not Main Street guys. They live in a bubble. They all live in a bubble. Okay, so. I've been saying for a week and a half, 2 weeks now, I don't know what the hell's going on in Congress and in D.C. and even the White House. You need to get things in place. Okay, if there's going to be a bailout, it has to be consumers, where people are going to be losing their jobs, losing their hours, okay? And something needs to make that up. You're going to have a real situation on your hands. So it's great that you're pumping up these markets, but if you don't get some money in their hands or something, whether you give folks some kind of a stipend and they can, when they file their taxes, it comes off of their taxes if they are owed money, that kind of thing. They need to if they're going to do a stimulus, it has to be Main Street. People are going to lose their jobs, and also it has to be targeted towards small business. I don't think they've done enough for small businesses.
You don't think just handing out $1,000 here, buy yourself something nice until August, that's not going to do it, Mike? Certainly not.
What is that? That's
stupid.
I mean, it's something, okay? It's a start, but how long is this nonsense going to go on for? Nobody can give you an answer, right? It's like it's 2 weeks, like Pennsylvania. We're in Philly. Even the shanty-ass mayor in Philly, the crazy.
It's like he's remodeling your kitchen, right? It's going to be 2 weeks. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, for the start, I was 2 weeks, and then yesterday was 3 months, and then today I read in places social distancing for 18 months, and I said, how long is this going to drag on for? Like, how bad do they want to turn this country into a socialist situation?
Right?
Because you're not even allowed to leave the house. Okay, now I understand all the trappings of a virus and things like that, and I'm not taking it lightly because I have a family and kids. If I was probably single, I might be a little bit of a wild man, going out there and doing stuff. But I'm just gonna look. I have a very simple philosophy, and I told this to you, and you laughed. I said, look, I've been busting my ass since I was 12 years old, and I don't have much to show for it in the bank. What the fuck is a couple of weeks going to make? I just kicked back for a couple of weeks. I've been breaking my ass for like 40 years, right? And so, okay, am I going to get rich in the next couple of weeks one way or the other? No. Am I going to, be in the poorhouse? No. I just kind of I'm like everybody else. We go from one check to another, one paycheck to another, one month to another. And when I see people now out here talking about this, that, and the other thing, these so-called financial experts, a lot of people worked for the White House or still work for the White House. I'm saying, God, you guys are not talking to Americans. You're talking to wealthy people in America. You're not
Yeah.
talking to the majority of Americans who are out here saying, how am I supposed to buy extra food? Like I said last week, I think I said it on here or on the Patreon show, and then later on my podcast, I said it was Tuesday, Wednesday. I said, come Friday, come payday, okay, they're gonna run on the supermarkets. There's gonna be a food shortage. You watch, because when people get paid, right, people don't have extra money to go. They don't have $300, $400, $500 to go spend
Right.
in the middle of the week, in the middle of a month on food that they may or may not need. But when they get paid Friday, look out. It's going to be trouble in the supermarkets. What happened on Friday? Chaos. Okay. So that's this is the vibe that the White House needs to really tune in on, right?
Let me ask you this, Mike. Did you happen to catch? I was out walking around while we're still able to do that, and I went down to Presbyterian Hospital to check out what was going on. But I wanted to see what was happening on the subway, and I encountered this guy who was on his way home from work. He owns his own business. It's an event planning company. He's worked there for 30 years. He's owned it for 20 years. And he described, this guy's got a strong business. He says he could last for probably about 6 months with no business. That's sort of unheard of to me. At 21st Century 3D, 2 or 3 weeks with no business, I was under intense pressure. And certainly a month or two, I just wouldn't have been able to make payroll. I wouldn't have been able to pay the rent. It starts to become this cascade of disasters that you cannot just reopen the business a month later and get out from under it. I feel like there is a time bomb that's just been set off, and the economy is gonna explode in a way that's going to be unfixable, not imaginary $850 billion.
Well, the panic is the reality, not the medical situation right now, right? The medical situation is the medical situation. There's so many unknown variables. We're getting bullshit information from everybody. And I've broken it down into 2 basic categories. Either they know something that they're not telling us it's really bad, or this is just over caution and it's leading to paranoia bordering on what you said, financial collapse. Okay, but you have to understand, the White House, I don't care who's in the White House. I don't care if it's Trump, Mickey fucking Mouse, or whoever, okay? You have to understand what's going on in the street. Trump is telling people not to panic and not to hoard, okay? The situation, though, is that there's no clear information either way. And there's so much misinformation, as a matter of fact, coming from the media, and hype and scare and fear.
Right.
What did you expect? Of course people are going to hoard. That's nothing to do with being an American and being a good neighbor. This is human nature. You can't control that. You want to gather unto you what you think is yours to provide for your family. This doesn't make you a bad person, right? What he should be talking about, if he really wants to talk about hoarding, okay, is now the corporations with fat credit lines. I'm talking $4 billion, $2 billion credit lines are saying to the banks, we want that money, because don't forget, a credit line is like just an offer from a bank. So if you need it, you can have, $4 billion, $2 billion, right? There's an article in the Wall Street Journal that talks about this yesterday. It's not that people are doing, going to do a run on the banks. The big corporations are saying, yeah, you guaranteed, Bank of America, you guaranteed us $4 billion. We want it now in our accounts. That's one corporation, okay, saying that kind of stuff. And and here's the deal. You want to talk about hoarding, all right? That's going to create a massive situation and a problem in this country. And that where, people, the 1920s are over, right? There's not going to be a individual run on the bank. People don't have money in the bank. The average American has $400 in discretionary income in the bank at any given time, an average of somewhere between $400 and $1,500. If they did a run on the bank, everybody went and did a run on the bank, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's not like the 1920s where everybody had the money in the bank.
Nobody
Okay,
had credit
but these
cards then or
corporate,
anything like that.
right? They have credit lines and things like that. But if he wants to talk about hoarding, this is the problem. They're going to create a situation here that leads to other problems like inflation. I mean, one corporation could say, I got a $6 billion credit line. Give me the money. What's the bank going to say? No. It's like, okay, well then all that other money I owe you, you're not going to get paid on, right? So, and the people that we have employed with us when money's not coming in, we're not going to be able to pay them. So the real run is on the banks, and it's not by folks in the grocery store buying toilet paper and flour and sugar and milk and bread, right? That's preposterous. They need to do a better job out here, and with the information has not been adequate, and that leads to panic, and that leads to fear, and that leads to uncertainty. We've talked about this in the last week. I mean, I knew it was headed this way. Look, it doesn't matter who's running the government; they all suck. Very basic.
I was a
not
little
very good at
troubled,
what they do.
Mike. When Trump gave his presentation, he was pretty adamant that he intends to bail out the airlines. I don't really understand this. Why don't they just say, well, this is capitalism. The airlines
Do you
are
know how
going to
much
fail.
money these fucking airlines have made through the years? Let's say since 9/11. The last big bailout was 9/11. They made millions upon millions. They're giving and when like their executives make big fat salaries, right? And now we got to bail them out again. Okay.
You ever have the Wi-Fi not work on your flight and try to get the $16 back? Good luck with that. Screw a bailout.
No, well, what I'm saying is, I understand because I was working for the government at the time of 9/11, and there was a psychological tie-in to 9/11 because of the airplanes. So They're going to get their bailout. They're going to get their freaking bailout, right? Because the airplanes
were
part of
kind of thing.
Right. So they're going to get their bailout. Now people don't want to fly. Okay, so what? Hey, people don't want to read True Pundit. People don't want to read True Pundit. Where's my fucking bailout? You think I'm going to get one? I'm not going to get a bailout.
People stopped wanting to see 3D movies, and 21st century 3D went out. That's what happens.
This is capitalism, right? Now, like American Airlines, they have a big fat credit. I think they have $600 million credit lines with different banks. They're tapping it. This is what I'm talking about. All these places are going to tap their credit lines, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So tap your credit lines, and if it doesn't work out, then you file for bankruptcy. This is capitalism, right? Don't forget, we're bailing these guys out. Like, I don't fly that much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anymore,
Why does your tax money have to bail out the airline? And are plane tickets going to be cheaper later? Like, why are we? I think if we just let that industry consolidate, when it comes back, whoever remains standing will buy up whatever planes are there, and we'll just have less airlines.
Where's my voucher? When I bail out these airlines, where's my voucher for
flying for a year for free?
I still got to pay rack rate.
Right.
I still got to pay rack rate, right? Sit next to the guy who's even fatter than I am, right? You're wrestling over a seatbelt. It looks like a rodeo in the middle of the flight. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's ridiculous. But that's just one bailout. You think that's going to be it? The banks are going to want to be bailed out too. I looked at Citi. I looked at Bank of America. And I look at stocks a lot, and I'm very proficient with stocks and finance. Like, maybe people don't understand that because I just come off as like this thug from Philly with a foul mouth who knows a lot about journalism, but I know what's going on in the markets. Okay, the bank sector is down 15 to 20% across the board. I worked at Citi. The bank sector was down 30, 40%. In 2008, they got billions in bailouts. I think Citi got $50 billion alone. I don't even know.
Let me ask you about this, Mike. This is the most egregious bailout we've ever heard of. We're talking about casinos are asking Congress for emergency.
Look,
you ever lose $1,000 at the casino and go over to the cashier and ask him for a bailout?
I worked for these guys in Vegas. I worked for Steve Wynn. I worked for Mirage when Mirage was fighting Donald Trump. Atlantic City, Vegas, they were fighting each other, okay, over Trump in Vegas and over Wynn wanted to come back to Atlantic City, all right? And then I did a lot of other work for Mirage. These guys go out of their way to take advantage of people. It's a science. Whether it's what they pump into the air vents in casinos, it's very complicated, right? There's so many psychological tricks they use. Where they put the buffet in a casino, right? You have to go through a labyrinth of slot machines to get to the buffet, right? These guys have taken advantage of people, and that's cool. It's legal, right? But they take advantage of people, right? How do they get a bailout?
Right.
And they've look, and
they better
look,
not do that,
guys. It's bad. So, like, where does it end? So now everybody's going to get a bailout. So how are we any better than Venezuela? Everybody gets a bailout, but we're paying for this. They're not going to pay for it. These are billionaires who are going to get bailouts. Guys like Adelson and this whole crew. What are they?
Oh yeah, he owns the Venetian. That's a casino. They're going to give the casinos the bailout. They're going to give them the bailout because it's Adelman.
They're going to get a bailout, right? We have to pay for all this. This is like
this
crazy.
This is not good.
But what I'm saying is, and it's like, oh, here, Goodman. Here's $1,000. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah,
we just stroked a check for $50 billion to the airlines, and you're underwriting this payment too, and now we're going to give $70 billion to the casinos across the country, or whatever number I just threw that number out there. I picked it out of the air, right? What does it matter? What does 70 billion matter?
Right.
800 billion.
Just get more ink, more paper.
They pumped in 1.7 trillion to the stock market in a tank. I mean, what are these guys thinking? Like, for me, you could put another 5 trillion in the Fed could pump another 5 trillion into the stock market. The stock market, it moves on investor mood. Right now, the investor mood, fueled by misinformation and chaos in the country, is shit. What do you think is going to happen to the stock market? It's going to tank. And if you think 21,000 is low now on the Dow, you'd be looking at 16, 17s if things don't shape up. And they know that. And that's why they're trying to move fast. They're not moving fast enough, though. So we're talking about this stuff tonight. I get fired up about this stuff.
Yeah, we're almost out of time here on YouTube and Periscope and Facebook, but we're going to be starting the in-depth conversation on patreon.com/TruePundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. There's been a lot of movement on Patreon. I totally appreciate that. I want to make sure that no one is sponsoring the show for an amount that is uncomfortable for them. Your family's financial security is really important right now, particularly with people's businesses closing. I'm talking to a lot of friends who are very concerned about their businesses, their restaurants. That guy on the train had a pretty compelling story. So I just want everybody to kind of like be cool and, stay with us if you're able, but take it down to $2.
Well, let me say this, right? Come on over, support Jason, support True Pundit on Patreon. Stuff I'm going to tell you tonight and get into tonight. Save you thousands. It's good practice whether you're in a crisis situation or not. These things that you just don't know about. You know why you don't know about? Because I didn't know about it. And I knew about some of the things, right? And they're unconventional and they're legal. Okay, last thing I need is to get the door kicked in again. They probably kick the door in and steal my brawny paper towels and my toilet paper before they take me.
That's valuable stuff now.
But the brawny paper towel guy, he's going to kick the door in he'll be with the FBI. He'll bash the door in with the axe.
The lumberjack, exactly.
The lumberjack will come in. But stuff we're talking about tonight is save you thousands of dollars and maybe more than that over your lifetime. And so, it's your choice. It's like
it's a different flavor.
Here. It's good stuff.
It's a different flavor than the podcast. A lot of people have been listening to the Thomas Paine podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere.
Say different things. There's no script. I say different things at different. And I tend to say more on here because by the time I do the podcast, I'm like my brain is fried. But I like talking on here because we've been doing it for so long. Yeah. That I think that this is probably a little bit better than the podcast, to be honest with you.
Hey, glad to hear that. And we're glad to have everybody with us sponsoring the show. We're going to be starting in just about 5 minutes. So, Mike, I'll see you over there on Patreon and subscribe.
All right, man.
Thanks for watching, everybody.